1063.
Colin Russo at the City Place Studios in downtown West Palm Beach. You know them. They're on their quest for a three-peat. They've won 2 Stanley Cups in a row. They've been to 3. They got everybody locked down under contract. You wonder who is the wizard who put all that together. He joins us now. It's Bill Zito, the general manager of the Florida Panthers, with us now on ESPN 1063. Bill, welcome in. How you doing today? What's going on?
I'm doing great. Thanks. Yeah, beautiful day, and thanks for having me.
Bill, is this the quiet time of the year? You got all the contract extensions all wrapped up under on pen to paper, all set in stone, and now you can just sort of enjoy the season a little bit, or does work never stop with you?
Well, in our business, it doesn't stop. Now you start your planning, a lot of admin stuff now, a lot of scouting, a lot of planning and prepping for, all the what ifs, the myriad of what happens if 2 guys get injured. How are you going to deal with that, for example? But yeah, we're staying pretty busy, but it's always fun at the beginning of the year to get back to watching hockey and playing hockey and being around it every day.
Yeah, being around it every day, and on top of staying busy, doing stuff like the Panthers on the Prowl program, which is that fundraiser that benefits the American Cancer Society. This is something that you and your wife, Julie, have really spearheaded, co-chaired to this point. Tell us a little bit about where this kind of came about on your end, and why'd you build it the way it is to grow as much as it is as we see it today in South Florida?
Well, our family's been affected by the disease pretty significantly. We lost Julie's mom, my sister. Julie's a breast cancer survivor. And we had worked in my last stop in Columbus on some fundraising to fight cancer initiatives. So we were asked to be the chair people for American Cancer Society after having already worked with the Promise Fund. And rather than the sort of traditional model of having a dinner party or something and asking people for help, we thought this Panthers on the Prowl concept would work. And it was Julie's idea. We both lived in Chicago when they had, I don't know if you're familiar, they had cows on parade.
Yep.
When life-size cows were up and down Michigan Avenue and people would decorate them and put them out, it became a big thing. Like, it became its own tourist attraction. So when we started this, our thought process was we want to raise $1 million. We want to sell 200 of these things. And you could buy one, Colin, and it could be about your sick brother. Joe's Pizza could buy one and just have it be fun and have it dressed up like it can be anything for anybody, whether I'm just a member of the community and it's important to me and I want to support, whether I want to have messaging, it means something really important to me or to my family and friends, and bring the community together. And that was really our goal. And there's a local artist, a globally renowned artist, Romero Britto, who's a friend. And he said, listen, if I do mine, you could probably auction it and make it even more fun. So then we started the idea of getting celebrities to do them, and then we'll auction those. So this is a full year-long process. Tomorrow night, we've invited those Panthers that are already completed and local. Some actually got shipped in from around the world. And we're just going to bring everybody together. And I think the images that are going to come out tomorrow of all these Panthers in one room is going to be, I don't want to get too dramatic and say life-altering, but it's going to be very impactful. They're in a storage room at the rink, and last night I couldn't leave the room. I just sat in there just marveling at how wonderful each one of these Panthers was.
And it's fascinating because fundraisers like this bring communities, bring people from all different backgrounds together. And despite the circumstances, it's doing good work. It's understanding what art can be, how sports can impact community. And as somebody who has now been here for a number of years running the Florida Panthers, I don't think anybody's a stranger to the fact that the Panthers have sort of taken over South Florida. And that's not only because of the performance on the ice, that's because of things like this, the performance off the ice, that allow the community to really feel the presence of the Panthers. Tell me about building that community that you, and on top of all the players and everybody involved with the Florida Panthers, have really making it a prideful thing to kind of expand.
It's very interesting and it's very real. It starts with our ownership. If you know the Viola family, everything's a family. Everything is about the community. It transcends down through the people that we have here who care, who are so proud to be from South Florida. The folks in Broward County, the Fort Lauderdale, like everybody comes together. The Palm Beach County folks all come to our game. So everybody, it's like bringing everybody together really to have a lot of fun and enjoy the games, enjoy each other. And the public outreach part from our players is real. They want to help. They like going to the hospitals. They like seeing the kids. They like doing things in the community because they're proud of being from here. So we're really blessed.
Panthers OT Prowl on Twitter/X to keep involved and keep in touch with the great work that the Zitos are doing alongside local celebrities and Panthers and people from worldwide, making a real difference in this community. Bill, we appreciate the time. The general manager of the Florida Panthers, Bill Zito, with us now. Bill, you were born in Pittsburgh. You're a Wisconsin guy. Do you consider yourself a Wisconsinite? I don't know what they say out of Pittsburgh. Is it the Yinzer that they say? What do you consider yourself here? I gotta get to the bottom.
I'm from Wisconsin. I was born in Pittsburgh. Still have lots of ties. My grandparents lived in Punxsutawney till they died. My father went to Pitt. Fun fact: his college roommate was Mike Ditka.
Wow, how about that?
So it's funny that I took the day I took the job, I had to get on a flight and I went to Boston to see one of our guys. Guy sitting next to me chats me up and comes out as it's Ty Law because we had the masks on. I'm like, so we start talking and I go, Ty, you're from Aliquippa. He says of all the things that like no Super Bowl, no play a Pro Bowl, no Heisman thing, Michigan. You said I'm from Aliquippa. I said, yeah, because Mike Ditka's from Aliquippa. Yeah, and Tony Dorsett. Yeah, it's my uncle. So it was a kind of a cute thing, but I grew up in Wisconsin and from Milwaukee.
Well, yeah, because I went to University of Wisconsin-Madison. I know you have some.
Oh, you did? What year?
I graduated 2 years ago, so I'm a Wisconsin guy through and through. But hold on, Bill. I'm from Connecticut originally. I went to Wisconsin. I'm one of those East Coast guys that shift over to the Midwest. You're sort of the same way. I mean, Pittsburgh is sort of the central East Coast.
No, I would say Pittsburgh's Midwest, but Connecticut where in Connecticut?
I'm from the Fairfield County area of Connecticut, so the New York side. Yeah, not Fairfield Prep. I went to New Canaan High School, which is not far from there at all. So hey, look at this, Bill. You got the Fairfield County back. I love it. But the one thing I wanted to say is like the Wisconsinites, you were not born and raised, but that is I've always wanted to, I was curious, the Milwaukee area, that was a city that flirted back in the 90s, really, of getting an NHL hockey team. It never really happened. The money wasn't there. Some people say the presence of hockey is not felt there. I'm curious from your perspective, did you ever think that Milwaukee deserves an NHL franchise?
Yeah, because growing up, they've always had, now they have an American League franchise, the Admirals.
Yes.
But they've been there since I was a kid. I was actually a stick boy for them. I sold season tickets in the summer for them. So there's always the, you're kind of flirting with the idea of, will an NHL franchise work? There's the popularity of the University of Wisconsin team. So hockey is expanding and growing throughout the state. It's getting bigger in Milwaukee. You already have an anchor tenant in the arena with the Bucks. So it's a little bit easier to absorb the second tenant, right? So there probably is a chance that it would work there.
It has a great presence of. I went to school there. There's a great presence of hockey all throughout. You mentioned the AHL. That's the longest standing AHL franchise, and it's right there, sitting there. And they're asking for it. I don't know, Bill. Bill, you could pull the strings better than I can. If you wanted to spearhead it, I think you could knock that out. Now it's fascinating about the Wisconsin connection. Bill Zito, general manager of the Florida Panthers, with us now. Bill, you've had a fascinating career. A lot of the times with general managers throughout the NHL, a lot of them are former players. A lot of them had long-standing careers. You did a different path where you started out in the representation business. You started out in the law side of it. So you were representing players, and you took a Rask most specifically. And you ended up shifting into the executive type role, the managing type role. I'm curious from your perspective, coming up and growing up, going through law school and everything. I know UW Madison. Did you always want to be lawyer, or was something representation, or did something in the back of your head think one day I kind of want to run a team?
I always wanted to run a team. I enjoyed being a lawyer. Once I got sort of on that track, when I was an undergrad, I had clerked on Wall Street in a law firm, and then continued through law school, and those folks encouraged me. Always wanted to be a general manager since high school. I had occasion to be a bat boy for the Milwaukee Brewers, and the GM was a guy named Harry Dalton, and Mr. Dalton always encouraged me to pursue it, and it was even kind of a joke in my family. Billy wants to be Harry Dalton of hockey.
Yeah.
But when I graduated from law school, you have the loans come due. And I didn't have it's funny, I didn't have the luxury of taking a low paying scouting job. Just couldn't afford it. And then you had the opportunity cost of, a pretty well paying job as a lawyer. So I tried to combine the agency with the law to stay in the game and get myself to the point where perhaps I could shift to a higher paying job. And I guess it only took me 25 years to do it, but it worked out okay.
And the fascinating perspective that you could actually get with that is you've seen both sides. You understand what it's like representing the player. You understand what it's like the player side of the business. And that has got to give you, and a lot of the current GMs are the same way because they are former players, but being on the actual representation side of it, that's got to give you not a leg up. I don't want to make it a word of leverage, but it's a word of understanding. And it makes it a lot easier, I feel like, to play ball when you understand that you're talking with somebody, whether it be an executive, a general manager, or even an agent, who understands both sides of the game. Do you think that gave you that much needed experience instead of starting out through the scouting department? That other way of it, the actual representation, probably aided you long run in terms of making you as good as you possibly can be at your job, no?
What you hit it right on the head, and it transcends it even deeper than you had referenced. I call it Hockey University because you can learn the NHL ins, outs, through the experiences of your clients. So, for example, if I had a guy playing for, I'll make it up, Houston, I could speak to I know how Houston runs their off ice, their sports science, their strength and development, how they travel, how they feed the guys, how the coaches interact, what the communication is. Does the GM interact with the players? Do the coaches, do they have the players' trust? Are they fighting with each other? Why? How is the rink? How are the facilities? How is the commitment? But you get that from 31 different teams. And then you scout, if indeed you really want to, and you go scouting. Now you talk to all the scouts and you listen and you're hearing about, I like this guy. Here's why. I like your guy here. I don't really like that guy, Bill. Thanks for offering him. But so it's a constant education in all the different franchises and then also in their farm teams. So if you really want to learn, it's like this open window to the inside. And that one GM that I was referencing earlier, I had an argument with him, and he said, "You think you know more about this than I do?" I said, "Well, I was out with your team last night in the bar. I know who was drinking and who wasn't. I know what they think of you. I know what they think of the coach. I know what they think as to why they lost the game last night. So, be it right or wrong, I could tell you what they think."
Yeah.
And then you learn, and then his reaction. So it was a great learning experience for me, and I still managed to screw it up. But it's
that's wow. Bill Zito with us. Bill, now once you took over the Florida Panthers, it's been about 5-6 years coming now, and you've made a lot of, I don't want to say risky moves, but you have understood the win now window. Obviously, there's no secret that the Florida Panthers have really taken over the sport. They're an apex predator, so to speak, and they got the bullseye on their back now, as you've seen this year. Now, let's start with this year. Coming into this year with no Tkachuk, and that you knew that was going to be a thing for 2-3 months here, and then now Sasha Barkov going down. That's a leadership, piece of the team. One of the biggest players, if not the biggest player on the team. Not going to have him and that's a wait and see type of deal. Going into the season, coming off, trying to do something that no team since the Islanders in the 80s have done, and that's win 3 Stanley Cups in a row. Was the expectation, did the approach change this year, not only because of the injuries, but because of the historical significance of what the Panthers can accomplish?
Certainly the former and not at all the latter. I don't think we've ever discussed We want to win this year for this year. We want to win tomorrow night for tomorrow night, and stay true to the process, and not buy into all of that other stuff because it's just a distraction. It doesn't serve us at all. With regard to the injuries, yeah, I can tell you that my job is to prepare for instances like this. So we live in South Florida. Are there hurricanes that might show up? Yeah, there are. People prepare for them. Can you ever fully? Maybe in some instances, but in our case, like I don't think I could plan or replace Barkov and Tkachuk.
No.
So yes, we definitely have to approach things a little bit differently without them in our lineup, but we still want to play the game the same way we always play. Um, and most importantly, as a team, commit ourselves to each other and to the process the way we know is successful and ultimately will be. We've had some poor results on the scoreboard so far. I don't think we would have enjoyed to have all those scores, but it's something where we have to get better every night, and I'm really confident that we will.
And you're really confident. I think everybody is because of not only the leadership that you provide, but the leadership that you enlisted to help you. You built a team. That's what running a hockey team really is you got to put together the right pieces. One of them was Paul Maurice, who when you got him in 2022 and you signed him, it was the perfect fit. It was the glove that fit perfectly into the what type of team you were trying to build in terms of identity. Take me back to that moment when you knew that Paul Maurice was your guy. What conversations took place? And more importantly, what was the sell? Was it you selling him or was it him selling you in terms of when he finally got involved and you hired him to be the coach of the Panthers?
Well, we had a little bit of a cheat code there because as an agent, I had had a number of players play for him. So interestingly enough, one of them was actually on our staff, Tuomorutu, and then another guy, Brian McCabe, and then another one of my clients who's not with us, but Jeff Hamilton, who was actually in Connecticut. And they're three totally different players and three totally different personalities, and they all said the same thing about Paul. Best coach I ever had, best communicator, best teacher, best leader, best motivator. All right, like that was, how do we get this guy? And he had stepped aside in Winnipeg and was in Canada, and I just called him and we started talking and suggested that perhaps we meet. We did, and you could kind of tell. I think our first meeting was like a long time. It wasn't 8 hours, but it was a legit 6, I think. And it was just talking hockey, and I think that the fit was there. If you have occasion to spend any time with Paul, his intellect and sincerity jump off the page. I mean, you can see him in the press conference how smart he is, but he's as intelligent he is, he's as caring and sincere in his relationships. So it's such a blessing that we have because he can work the balance between the strategic technical side of the game and then the human side. And I told him for the longest time that the guys, he had earned the trust of the guys. And then after, I don't know, very short period of time, I said, you've passed trust. Now they believe in you. And it's true. And if you have occasion to meet him, I think he's the best coach in hockey.
Bill Zito, general manager of the Florida Panthers here. Bill, last thing here, I could do this all day with you. I could pick your brain about all this stuff, but I want to ask one more thing. Speaking of recent, you guys were just at Boston, and the first time that Brad Marchand returned to play against the Boston Bruins after 16 years there, and that is a notable acquisition that you made towards the trade deadline last year, late in early March, when you got Brad Marchand in the mix. He was a crucial piece of the Stanley Cup run, and he's had an all-star career, and he's been excellent this year to this point. When you got Marchand, and when you kind of heard that, all right, they might be shopping Marchand here, and Marchand, who was a lifer with Boston, making those calls, making that move, was that considered a risk in your eyes, or was you almost surprised that he just sort of fell into your
I
head?
don't know. I
What is?
would liken it to somebody suggesting you buy Apple stock before the
Yeah,
next phone call. Like it was. Look, if there's anyone in this league who comes as advertised, it's him. And getting to know him even more and understanding what a real sincere person he is, and just how he interacts with everybody here, from myself to all of his teammates, to the equipment guys, to the chef. Like this is a special soul, and we're just very very fortunate to have him as part of our group, and really blessed.
and seeing that Brad Marchand tribute that they did in Boston and how emotional he was. And he went on to say post game about how like that was first home, now I'm in second home. And even Paul Maurice said that he's going to be a Bruin for life. And but there's almost something to be said about the culture that you have built with Florida, saying that not only has he embraced being a Panther, but he considers it that second home. But there's always going to be that attachment from the player's perspective that I'm always going to have that piece of my career. That's always going to be the bulk of my career. And I thought that was amazing to see. And I was curious in your thoughts on that.
I think it's wonderful because at, at heart, we're all fans. And those guys, that's the Boston Bruins. Like even I got to tell you, I'm watching it the other night. I've got chills going down my spine. You're looking up, you got the Bobby Orr pictures everywhere. Like it's the Boston Bruins. And it was such a well done moment. The fans didn't want to sit down. He was touched. Everybody was touched, as they should be. And that's the ultimate goal. If you could ever get mentioned in the same breath as a franchise like the Boston Bruins, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I think it's yeah, we're lucky to have him, and I'm flattered and appreciative that he could call South Florida home.
Yeah, absolutely. Bill, you've done such a terrific job with the Panthers at this point. I appreciate giving us a little bit of a rundown on the Panthers on the Prowl with you and your wife Julie, who have done a terrific job, kind of taking South Florida and utilizing the Panthers for such a great cause, bringing together people, bringing together art and understanding how sports and not only fundraising can bring people together. But Bill, we appreciate it. Looking forward to talking again soon. Best of luck the rest of the way. I'm sure you got some things up your sleeve that we'll have to break down in the near future, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was great meeting you.
Great meeting you as well. That's Bill Zito, the general manager of the Florida Panthers. Appreciate the time. Panthers on the Prowl is where you can find the fundraising effort benefiting the American Cancer Society. Colin Russo,